Okay, right. We are past the hour. So all I can say now is thank you everyone from wherever you're joining. Thank you for joining this webinar. Thank you for being generous with your time. And to kind of find out from us, what are the 5 must-have integrations? Now, somebody's just asked this question, why has fund marketing become more complex in recent years? Let's dive straight into that. And a little bit about ProFundCom. Let's go past that. Let's answer the question. The reason why fund marketing has become so much more complex is because fund marketing is not just about going to game, going to an event, being on a platform, sending an email out. I think what lockdown and the transformation to digital has shown us is that there are so many more touch points. And there's the website, there's your events platform, there's social media, there's press, there's inbound, outbound marketing, there's thought leadership, there's all kinds of content being generated, and it's all going out on different channels. And when you've got different channels going out, you've also got different systems in place to push this information out. So once the information is pushed out, because the nature of technology is all about measuring engagement, you've got to bring that data back, and then you've got to analyze it. And when you're analyzing data, you go away from being a creative type person, where you're creating content, you're creating articles, you're creating blog posts, you're creating fact sheets, you're creating all these kind of thought leadership pieces. You're in creative mode. Then you go into analysis mode. So you're learning about Excel and Power BI and all these other tools. And essentially, you're doing 2 jobs. You're doing one of an editor, author, creator, and you're doing one of a data scientist. And most managers also are, if you're small enough, are struggling because they also have the technology that kind of knits this all together. So while, the investor journey is, in the awareness consideration phase, is completely digital and it's got multiple touch points, it's also unpredictable. And that's the nature of it. And whilst a lot of people are sold on the concept, well, you have all these systems, it'll work seamlessly, they'll all work together. What in reality happens is you have all these multiple touch points. They are different systems that need different connectivity, that need different reporting. And in the end, most marketers we talk to just kind of give up, because what then happens is people are just overwhelmed with the data and the systems. What the worst part of all this is that a marketing team then is unable to justify budgets because they can't demonstrate the impact they're having on raising assets. So marketing, not only does it become the poorer cousin, it becomes the forgotten cousin. And integration is something that, if done well, will solve the problem. But if it isn't even being talked about, is a massive problem. And that's why I kind of thought it would be a good idea to really talk about this subject today. When I say it was actually Victoria, who's our sales director, who came up with this idea, because she talks to people on a regular basis with this kind of pain. And yeah, in answer to your question, Francesco, it has got more complicated. And what I'm hopefully going to try and do here is look at strategies and how you can build integration strategies around your various touch points, what they should look like, and what are the pitfalls for that. Now, there is at one end of the spectrum where the mindset is, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to build out drip campaigns, nurture campaigns, do retargeting, have all these campaigns together. Integration matters because the other cousin of integration is automation. And that's not covered here, but it's definitely worth talking about. And we have a whole set of webinars on that subject. But if any questions get asked, I'll absolutely jump into it, knowing that we've got about 30 minutes to get through this. And why does integration matter? Because it's only through integrating these various components that you actually understand everything you need to know about existing investors and prospective investors. And this is where, you know, the things like AI, machine learning all come to the fore. But AI and machine learning have to be fed with data. So there's not another part to this problem. It's not just creating content. It's not just data science. It's not just the IT element. It's the kind of the AI element to this, because, you know, most marketers are being asked by their C-level, okay, what's your AI strategy? And again, that becomes, you know, a fourth pillar of problems. So hopefully in this webinar, I'll be able to cover those all off. So what we're going to talk about, we're going to talk about CRM integrations. We're going to talk about integrations to event platforms. We're going to talk about investor portals, how you integrate your website and social media into your marketing, and also going to look at, you know, how you can use tools like Power BI to enhance your integration, enhance your reporting. And a lot of this sits around fundamentally sits around one, having the discipline to do this, because there's no reason why you can't pull this data in Excel, write something clever in Excel to kind of do your integration. But as you'll see through this webinar, there are challenges with that, A, because it's manual, and B, after 4 months, you'll kind of stop doing it because it's a lot of cutting and pasting. And if there's anything that kills an Excel spreadsheet, the bigger it gets, the more complex it gets. And again, you kind of lose track and you stop doing it. And then you're back to square one where nothing is getting done and you can't justify what marketing is doing. So the first part is CRM integration. Now, when you've got a CRM, as most people do, it's obviously, there are two parts to this. You want to be able to integrate your marketing channels into your CRM. And what that should give you the ability to do, it should give you the ability that at any point, you can see all the social, website, email, fact sheet, investor portal engagement all in one place. And that's essentially what your CRM should be able to do. It should be able to give you not only the view of what people are doing, but how active they've been, what content they've been consuming, and also giving them a complete overview to their behavior as a contact. And the reason behind this is because it gives the salesperson that single view of a prospect or or for an IR team, an investor's behavior. Now, you could use your CRM as a Rolodex, and after 7 years, change it, which is what most people do. And the reason for that is because the data that goes into your CRM contact is incredibly static. It's essentially name, address, holdings, AUM, some valuation statements in there. That's about it. But what you're trying to do with, as a marketer, your end game is to show the impact you're having on raising AUM. How can you enrich the CRM data? And you do it through integration. You do it through these integrations. Now, what you can also do, not only do this at the contact level, you can actually do that across your entire contact base. And using AI and machine learning, you can basically surface information to actually tell your sales team, here are the people you need to be calling based on their activity, whether it's website, email, social, or any one of those. And the integration gives you the ability, in this case, running in Salesforce, other CRMs, that's the Dynamo, Backstop, all the ones that are kind of listed here. You can do this in all of those. You've got the ability to look at, who are your low-hanging fruits? Who are the people that are actively engaged with you that you haven't spoken to? Cross-selling. Who are the investors you have whose activity with you has increased and should be spoken to? Redemption risk is all about, which of your investors are not engaging with you. And marketing alpha is about, which of your contacts have not engaged with you for the last 6 months, but in the last month are engaging with you. So what this is doing is actually pulling out signals from your marketing data and giving you the ability to actually take this data, present it within the CRM for a salesperson to engage with, and actually essentially have a sanitized calling list. And as somebody once explained, well, I've 2 anecdotes to this. It's like, what does a salesperson do on a day that they've got nothing to do? Well, this is the kind of report they would want to look at. And what it does, it makes the sales process just a little more systematic, because the heavy lifting is being done by the AI here. Now, the question then is, right, how do you build out this kind of integration? Well, the way you build out this integration is using, products like Zapier to connect to your website, using products like MuleSoft as well to connect into your systems, to actually pull this data and feed it into your CRM. And if you're using a marketing automation product, you've got this data available as well. But the key is, bringing it together in your CRM and coding it up to actually look like this. And, that becomes quite a dirty word, coding it up, because it then becomes a question of, what is the what's the organizational behavior of your company, of your fund, and, your IT view on the world. Because there are 2 types of CTOs in the world, right? They're the empire builders who will build the product themselves, or they will buy Salesforce and all the tools that come with Salesforce, because no one got fired for buying Salesforce. Or they are the ones that will buy best in breed and do the integrations. Now, each one has their benefits, and there's no right way and there's no wrong way. But with all these things, the motivation behind a CTO is very different from the motivation of a marketing team. And when you're dealing with that level of technology, that level of integration, whatever, but even using basic APIs, is to always build your integrations and outline your integrations with the outcome in mind. Because otherwise, you'll essentially not have you won't have a single view, you will have multiple views. And as a result, there is almost no use in having that. So this is really, what an integrated view of that's actually a bad play on words, actually. That's what the view of your integration should look like, which is an integrated view. So that's the CRM integration, what it should look like. The other part to this is, right, one of the most useful and one of the biggest buying signals is all about online events. So let me see how many people, 124. So all the 124 people who have joined this webinar, it's all the highest level of engagement, because you are giving me the most expensive resource you have, which is your time. So being able to track those engagements is, again, that level of integration is incredibly useful. Now, why events is, I just thought it'll be a good idea to have a separate section on events, because events has lots of behaviors on it. So events have, did they register? Did they register and attend? Did they register and attend? And how long was their attention span on that? Did they attend and get the replay? Did they only get the replay? How much of the replay did they look like? And again, having this data to hand and feeding that into the CRM and into your AI is, again, really, really useful to have. And just for a salesperson to be able to see, somebody registered for a webinar and actually attended it is incredibly useful as well. So what I'm kind of showing you here is even though, an integration, you can say, well, I've got an integration with Cvent, for example, and it tells me who attended. But then what? It's actually getting more granular into that data. And then what you can do is, if you want to build automations out of this in your CRM, you can build an automation to say, if somebody has basically done 4 or 5 things across multiple channels, either the automation is tell a salesperson, update the lead deck, or just send this person, in this case Yvette, send her an invitation to another event, or yeah, so you can kind of build all this out, and you can get really quite playful with the automations you build. And what's really good about automations is that it's a two-way door, is that you can walk in, see if it works, and if it doesn't, you can walk back out. And that is what, you know, why, if you've got great integrations, you can build fantastic automations. But that's another subject for another day, unless I get a few questions. Okay, so that's a simple one, that's Zoom. The next thing, and probably I don't know whether this is my pet hate or not, is investor portals. Because everybody builds a great investor portal. There are businesses built on giving investors, you know, the best user interface, the best experience, and everybody feeling smug about that. And yeah, and you can make them as pretty as you want. Now, what's really interesting about investor portals is how many of your investors are consuming information this way, and how many are consuming via email. Now, you do need both touch points. But what's really interesting is that most investors prefer to download and file performance information. It's just the way it is. And this is not just our research, this is research from, I can't remember the name, who they are, it will come to me. If it doesn't come to me, I'll put it in the replay email. So basically, you've got this thing where you're building something pretty that actually nobody wants. And it's a bit like, you know, I always go back to the U2 album that they stuck on, you know, the iPod, or currently on your WhatsApp, there's the Meta AI on it. Dude, these are things I didn't ask for. However, what's really interesting is looking at investor behavior. And what we basically got here within your lead deck is you need to have the ability to see which of your investors are consuming more content, and is the content relating to products they're invested in or products that they're not invested in. So that's immediately a cross-selling opportunity. But also, are they, you know, has their readership reduced? Whether it's investor portal, whether it's on website, whether it's on platforms, what has happened? So, and in essence, whilst the investor portal is great, being able to take data and really from a single view, integrate into the portal to say, here are the behaviors that are creating actionable insights, and then actually doing something with it. So again, as I said earlier on, building out your integrations and your systems with the outcomes in mind, raising AUM, preserving AUM, that's really what I'm trying to focus on how you build out these integrations. Okay, so got a question come in. How can integration strategies simplify marketing workflows? Good question. I think when you're looking at strategies are choices, right? Strategies is just a fine word. It's just a fancy word and a business school word for choices. And ultimately, you have to make the choice of what outcomes you want. If the outcome is you just want to present something that here are the people who opened our emails, our click rate's gone up. You want to say, you know, here's the website traffic we're getting more people, all that kind of stuff is kind of okay. But it's really not going to move the needle on whether you're raising money or preserving money. It's really having strategies where all these are connected up. And again, it ties into buy or build. Are you going to buy something from a single vendor and kind of connect it all together? I mean, like Investor Dynamos, Chewit are very much single vendor, but domain specific. So reduced cost of ownership. Or you could go Salesforce and Pardot, and it's just like lots of Lego bits and you can build it all together. Various ways. It's ultimately choices. And yeah, you could probably do this in Excel as well. Okay, so I hope that answers the question. So yeah, investor portals. And again, you do want the ability to see if in the timeline of a contact, have people actually engaged with the portal. So investor portals, so website and social media. Now, a question that's regularly asked is, as a marketer, do I really need to worry about my website? Do I need to worry about social? And it really is down to how the outlook of the people who are making spending decisions. So, and people, if they really understand marketing and fund marketing. So a good rule of thumb is that of your universe of people who are going to invest in you, 5% are looking already and are probably going to find you. And that's why you need a website and you need social media. Now, if there are older channels, traditional channels, then that's fine. But then there's the other 95%. And how do you stay front of mind with those people? And that's why having this integration in place with your websites and social media is so important. And that's why, you need to be able to see, right, is somebody engaging with us on LinkedIn? Are people engaging with us on all these other platforms? Are they engaging with us on our website? And being able to pull that data in on the timeline, again, feeds in incredibly well to the salesperson who is essentially at the coalface, doing the hardest job in the business, which is essentially calling people up and pitching the fund, whatever guise you call that, whether it's relationship managers, business development, whatever you want to call it. And as you scale, this becomes more and more important, being able to pull this information out and giving salespeople that view of the people's deeper engagement with the brand. So it's a very short one. Website, social media is incredibly useful to have those integrations in place. Now, finally, for this webinar, the last topic is Power BI and reporting. And what does this look like? And essentially what this looks like, so this is a report that's running in real time. It's pulling real data and it's looking at multiple channels, so emails, websites, investor portal, and it's basically showing you things like, what's been the activity across multiple channels, what has been the inflows into the fund, and being able to correlate that. You've got the ability then to actually see which countries are the most engaged with you. So if you click on France, you can click on France, and it drills down to say, here are the people in France that are engaging with you, here are the companies, and here are the individuals within them that are engaging with you. And this, in many ways, is what engagement and building out the integration looks like. So you've got to be able to, to get to this stage where you're using tools. Yeah, it's very easy to build tools out that say, right, which campaign's performing well, which funds are doing better than others, which city and which country are engaging with us the most. But the most important information is being able to, when you can bring all this information together and work out which companies are engaging with you and the individuals within them. And that is a complete Venn diagram, the intersection of your Venn diagram between email marketing, content marketing, brand awareness, demand generation, all those things coming together in an integrated way with strategies and choices that you've made, and then being able to pull this data out. So once you've got this data out, you can actually, as a marketing team, present this to the sales team and essentially, be part of that whole lead gen operation. So in many ways, we're kind of at the end now. And hopefully what I've been able to describe is how useful integrations are, how important they are to bring all these data points together. And yeah, that was exactly 30 minutes. So I'm just seeing if there are any more questions. I've got a question come through. What common integration mistakes should fund marketers avoid? I think, I mean, I've kind of covered this already to a degree. I think the biggest mistake you make is to let the system just run and assume all the integrations are working all the time, every time. Integrations, because they rely on APIs, they rely on connect different systems. Systems have updates, APIs have updates, and systems will stop working. In fact, this morning, I noticed that when people downloaded reports from our website, I wasn't getting an email. And then I had to go in and actually work out, the reason was because something had changed on our DNS, I wasn't receiving the emails. So that's actually quite useful. Just an anecdote from today. Integrations break, and the worst thing you can do is basically think that you've built it once, it's going to work every time. So yeah. So that's one. I think there's an element of discipline that you've got to have to actually just diarize it, just to check your automations and check your integrations. Questions come in is, what are quick wins that I can have as a fund marketer before I start with integration? Okay, before I start, well, I covered going with what, I think a good thing to do would just do an audit of your CRM, of your investor portal, your website, your email marketing tool, and make sure that they all have APIs. Because once you've got APIs in place, it's very easy then to connect to products like MuleSoft, connect to products like Zapier to bring that data together. And once you've got the data in, you can kind of go back to that Power BI screen I showed you, and you've got the ability to have drill downs in that data. And again, you can then visualize the data however you see fit. But and I mean, learning Power BI is pretty easy, and there are a whole bunch of online courses. But in a couple of weekends, you can become moderately dangerous. Okay, got one question here from Karen. How can automation reduce manual tasks and increase efficiency of fund marketers? I know I did say I was going to talk about this. So assuming your integrations are all in place, automations is really about targeting the 95% of people who are not investors yet. And you've got to find a way to be front of mind. That's really what it's about. That's what automations are about. And kind of building a cadence to say, every 6 to 8 weeks, how can we be front of mind to that universe of people? And then from there, it's a content marketing exercise. And there are very good content marketers in the world. If you look up John Green on LinkedIn, he's in our space. I think he works for Apex, a really good place to start. Stacy Havner, again, a really great content creator in our space. So that's what I'd look at doing. So there we go. I hope that helps. A question from Marco. Do you know if it's possible to synchronize Pipedrive and ProFuncom simultaneously in Power BI? Weirdly, Marco, yes. So I'll make a note of that and I'll reach out to you. But the answer is yes. That's very, yeah, we wouldn't use Zapier. We have a different way of doing it. We have a Power BI connector that allows you to do that, but I'll make a note of that. So thanks for joining, Marco. Raymond is asking, will you send out a replay? Yes, we will. Question from Ed. What percentage of managers do you think are tying together their systems and creating effective reporting and automation that unlocks the value of the data. Well, 100% of our customers are, so that's 400. I don't know, Ed. And again, it's a question of what is effective. I would say it's growing. I'd say 100% would like to, probably 5%, right? And the reason I say that, because our cricket club has about 100 people in it, and we all set ourselves a goal to do 20 chin-ups by the end of last season, and only about 7 people managed it. I managed 1. So I think there is a natural tail-off between the ambition of joining a gym on the 1st of Jan and where you are on the 28th of Feb. So I think aspirations are there, Ed. We sell to that aspirational manager, but I think it's probably a lot less than you'd think. I hope that helps, Anthony. Have you had experience with integrating Affinity and HubSpot? Yeah, we have. We've just got an integration with HubSpot and with Affinity. Yeah, you know, they've all got APIs that you can connect to. The key is, like I said, is to make sure you understand their APIs. The APIs are available, and you know, building out your reports from there. And you know, it is, you know, again, is being mindful that on the surface, these integration tools are great, but you've got to have, you know, again, a basic understanding of how APIs work, which again, go on YouTube, and there are lots of courses that that you can pick out that, you know, will teach you again within a couple of sessions, couple of weekends, to work out how it all ties together. Okay, sure, Anthony. I'll get someone to reach out to you as well. Super. So all I can say, I think, is there any more questions? Yeah, just one more question. Hey, Victoria, is there a specific stage of growth to start considering integration in their marketing? I think if you're reaching out to more than 50 people on a regular basis, and that 50 becomes 100 within a period of time that only is growing, that's kind of the level I'd look at it. I wouldn't look at kind of AUM. Do you know, boutique managers? Look, I mean, 1/3 of our customers are boutique managers that use this, and their universe is 100 and 150. And it is, I would say, it's a really good question. I would say when you feel that you are that you're kind of running out of time to do your marketing role, then that's the time to think about integration. Actually, it's almost too late, but that would be the tipping point. So yeah, I hope that helps, Victoria. Super. Right. Well, like I said earlier on, a replay will be sent out. Again, if you've got any questions, I'll be here for a few more minutes. And after that, you know, more than welcome to send me emails or hit me up on LinkedIn. So thank you all very much, and enjoy your weekend.